I'm Mama E, and I have been sent to help you navigate through some of life's challenges. You know, years ago I had gone through some things in my marriage, and I found that there was a real need to just have somebody to talk to. That's the advantage of having a mom. And because I've experienced some things, my goal, my hope, is to reach back and pull my children's generation and my grandchildren's generation and say to them, come on, you can make it. If I can warn you about the pitfalls that are ahead, I can maybe help you get around them so that you don't have to go through the same hurt and the same pain. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you. I'm looking forward to you getting to know me, and that's the purpose of this telecast, Ask Mama E.
Welcome. This is the Ask Mama E show. I am Miss Stella Strippin-Keese, better known as, or also known as, Mama E. This is a show that's dedicated to building healthy relationships and strong marriages. We hope that you'll stay tuned not only for this telecast, but every week we'll come to you again with ideas or suggestions of things that might make it easier to make this journey through healthy marriages and relationships. We're going to get right into our topic for discussion today. My guests are Pastor Charles and Azalea Williams. They pastor the Forward Christian Center in Jacksonville, Florida. And we're going to start by having Pastor Charles give you a little information about the church, what they're doing, what their goals are, and then we'll get back into our topic.
Absolutely. My wife and I, we have the privilege of pastoring the awesome Forward Christian Center on the new north side of Jacksonville. It's our mission, our vision to get the gospel of Jesus Christ out in a fresh and practical way. We want to teach God's men, women, and children the gospel of Jesus Christ and just get the gospel out by any means necessary.
Yes. You know, as we start our discussion about marriage and marital relationships, it occurred to me as Pastor Charles was talking that just as in our natural lives, we need to be holistic. Yes. We need to think about physical, emotional, spiritual parts of our being. I'm thinking that even in our marriages, sometimes our marriages can be what we used to call lopsided. You know, if you've got all of one thing and none of the other, you know, there are some marriages that don't have any fun. Absolutely. Then you've got other relationships that have too much fun. Yes. You know, so you can't party all the time. Absolutely. But you also need some time where there is some balance. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Yes. So that as you train men and women to live balanced lives, that perhaps we can say to couples, make time for balance. In other words, don't make it all about the kids, but by the same token, you can't leave them out completely. Yes. So we talked before about allowing God to direct us. Yes. You know, He is a God of balance. He promised us abundant life, you know, and so that on one hand, you know, you don't want to get all you do is work, but by the same token, you don't want to never work. Absolutely. You know, so that our marriages need to be balanced, so that, you know, as time goes on, when we look back over our 40 years, 50 years, and I know as young people, it's hard to even imagine being married, but you guys have been married 20 plus years?
Yeah, 21 years. 21. It'll be 22 in November.
You see, and when you got married, you don't think about where we're going to be in 20 years. You know, when you've got little ones, you don't think that they're going to be grown and gone, even though we're glad when they are. Woo-hoo. Yes.
We're close to the finish line.
But all of the stages of life, we need to be in it to win it, you know, so that we go through all of those stages. And then the day comes where you're sitting on the front porch, you know, the grandbabies come over and bring you a plate. They didn't come to eat. So let's get in again on a topic that hopefully will be something new and for our listeners to think about, to chew on as they go forward. Sister Pastor Azalea, tell me what your thought was.
I was thinking about married, saved, yet human too. Because a lot of times we think about marriage and then we're saved individuals, but people think we don't go through anything.
Yes.
But we go through stuff too. In the 21 years of marriage, I can't say that everything was absolutely perfect. There are some trying times. There are some heavy times. There are some times when I just sat there and was like, is it worth it? You know, but God is God of grace and mercy, and he always makes me look back at the bigger picture.
Yes.
And I think once we realize, yeah, it's okay to be human. It's okay to say, I'm having a bad day today. It's okay to say that me and my husband aren't seeing eye to eye today, and it's okay, and still be saved.
But
Amen.
you know, you said today. If we will remember that whatever is happening is just today.
Just for today.
You know, and if we were not so quick to throw in the towel, it's not even your towel. It's God's towel.
Absolutely.
You know, and so when we decide that this is just temporary, you know, and we make up our mind because we've already decided this is us, you know, and so that so many times, and again, I'm glad you hit on the point that as saved believers, you know, that we don't try to fake
Absolutely.
our relationships. Now, that does not mean we air all our dirty laundry.
Yes.
I don't believe in that.
I agree with that.
You know, but by the same token, what can we do so that we present an image to the world of what God is all about?
Amen. I believe it starts with having a quick snapback. I like to think about it along the lines of, you know, sometimes we may be walking, we may be strolling, but if we stumble in the midst of a crowd, we want to snap back real quick and just kind of play it off as if it had not happened.
Okay,
And I
all
think
right.
we have to take that same approach as it relates to our marriage. We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. But the key is to make sure you can recover quickly before everybody else notices.
Yeah. Oh,
yes. And that's a
good.
quick snapback. And I believe, you know, if we do that, we can have those ups, those downs, the ins and outs of life, and still be able to weather the storm because we're not sulking in what may have not been good in our marriage.
Yes. You know, one of the scriptures that really was a blessing to me through one of my rough times, I often share the story. You know, in the old days, we used to have tape recorders. And the tape recorder had play, pause, eject, fast forward,
Yes,
rewind.
yes.
All right? When I was upset, I would just keep rewinding. I could remember what shirt he had on, what he said, when he said it, how he looked when he said it. And the scripture in Philippians came to me. Whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever. And what that taught me was that I have a choice. God says that these are the things I want you to think about.
Yes.
He would not have given us that list if we had no choice. So then I had to decide to either keep hitting the rewind button. And here's what's funny. When I hit the rewind button, I get the same emotions that I felt when it first happened. If I was mad, hurt, angry, sad, all of those feelings, when I hit rewind, I get those same emotions. In a way, that's just stupid.
It is.
That
It is.
if you were hurting the first time,
You're gonna keep-
why would you want to
hurt yourself over
hurt
and
yourself.
over and over
right,
again.
Right. So I decided that instead of hitting rewind, that I would hit the eject button. I have the choice to put in a new tape.
Ooh, that's good.
And here's what I did. I went through my photo albums and I pulled out all the happy pictures. We used to love to travel. You know, I found a picture of my husband and I in Paris. There was a picture of, we took all the kids to Bermuda. And I put all of those pictures out on my coffee table. And what it was a reminder to me and the devil that I had 30 good years, and you are not going to convince me that there was nothing good in this marriage. You know? So when I decide that I'll think on these things, when we got the first puppy, when we bought the first house, those were the things I choose to think about.
Amen.
You know? So that either I can sit here and be mad at him and think about, you know, as a football fan. If the Jags, and those are my boys, so don't talk about them, all right? But yes. And even when we were losing every game, all right, my attitude is this. If we play 16 games, however many we play, and if we lost 4, and 112, that's a winning season. Why would we allow the enemy to tell us that there's nothing good in this marriage? You know, pull out those baby pictures. Pull out the picture of the roses. Pull whatever those things were that made you smile the first time. You know, that yes, I'm human. Yes, I've had things that were hurtful, but I've decided what I'm going to think on.
Absolutely.
And I refuse to allow the enemy to tell me I had a no good, sorry, whatever.
A bad season.
Yes.
And I'll go a step further because there may be some that are out there that have more losing years than winning years. The good thing is God is able to turn it around.
Yes.
And that's the beauty about being able to go to another season. Because seasons, they do change.
Yes.
And we have to begin to think about it that way because God is he's on our side. He's in our corner.
Yes.
And things can turn around just like that. But we have to be willing to persevere and endure through those hard times so we can get over to some of the better years that God has in store for us.
And now here we go with football again. A lot of times some changes have to be made in order to turn it around. So if we keep the same players, you know, you still listening to the same cheerleaders, you know, some things are guaranteed to make sure that it doesn't change. But now I need to go to the coach. I often say that the commissioner, okay, that there is a supreme ruler over everything. We need to then seek the supreme ruler. Go to the commissioner. You know, the coach needs to have the playbook, and somebody needs to call another play because this isn't working. You know, so that as we decide that what we want for this relationship is the Super Bowl, then it's going to require some work for us to get there. It's going to require that we be a team so that we can get there. If we both have the same goals, you know, if we have decided, and make sure you've got fans who want it for you. You know, I don't talk to people who talk about my boys, you know, because everything attached to me wins.
Absolutely. And we have to have those people in our life who will speak life into our relationships. And that's the whole married, saved, and human side. The human side is we have to look at the situation and say, yeah, we got some issues. We may have to call a flag on the play or something. Let's rewind this thing and see what's going on. We got to make sure we are lining our team up to win. And if we're not winning, we got to look at and see why aren't we winning? What's causing us not to win? So there's nothing wrong with saying we have a problem. I think a lot of times in the Christian world, we want to paint the picture as if there's nothing wrong. We want to speak life all day long. It's nothing wrong with saying my marriage is going to win, but sometimes you got to say, okay, my marriage is going to win, but right now I'm in a season that it's not winning, but I'm believing God that it's going to get better. You know, so we got to be true to ourselves, not so high that we're so spiritual high that we're no earthly good. We have to make sure we're speaking truth and saying, God, fix what's going on the inside of me so that I can work and my spouse and I can get this thing together. We human. We got some problems. We got some issues. Lord, I got some issues. And sometimes it's you. So we got to make sure we present our life to God and show him, we're human. We got some problems, but we know that you can fix them.
Amen.
You know, this has just been delightful. I just can't wait for us to get together and do it again. You know, I believe that something has been said that's going to help our viewers. We'll be right back.
This broadcast has been provided to you by In Him Marriage and Family Ministry. Remember, this broadcast is listener supported. Your financial assistance would be greatly appreciated. You can give immediately by Cash App Sakis, or you can feel free to go to our website at www.ask-mama-e.org. You may reach us by telephone at 904-402-0086. You may write us or mail gifts of support to Ask Mama E, In Him Marriage and Family Ministry, Inc., P.O. Box 43255, Jacksonville, Florida 32203.
Okay, so we are back. Our conversation just took us so rapidly. It is amazing to me how quickly 30 minutes can go by.
Yes.
So we're going to try to make sure that we cover everything that we intended to share with you today. Let's talk a little bit more about this humanness. Is being human an excuse to misbehave?
It is absolutely not an excuse. We have human nature, but we should not allow that human nature to overpower us in our marriage relationship. One of the things I always encourage couples to do is to be upfront and honest. We're human. We have feelings. We have emotions. We have these things, this flesh that we walk in. So husbands, when you're on the job and there's somebody on your job who is pressing up against you, she has her cleavage hanging out. I know you're human, but sometimes you have to go to your wife and say, hey, there's a woman on my job. She pressing up on me a little bit too much. So the human side is talking about it, and then you're talking about it to the right person, which is your spouse, so she can begin to pray with you, pray for you before you go to work. And so now you're not bogged down with feeling guilty because somebody is on your job flirting with you or somebody's putting pressure on you. You are human. Yes, that's going to happen, but you're putting it in the right places, safety with your spouse.
Now, you know, the thought of being able to share it with your spouse will allow you not to be in bondage.
Exactly.
You know, whenever we're in situations of darkness and we keep it in the dark, that's an opportunity for the enemy. But the fact that we walked in truth, we shared it, you know, and now we're on one accord and we're praying for the same thing, and you don't have to now hide it.
Yes.
And be upfront.
And I believe that's when it starts all to kind of come into fruition. We talked about truth. We talked about friendship. We talked about transparency.
Yes.
All of these things work to where you're now a safe place to where when you have a potential issue that may be out there, by you being able to confide in your spouse and create that safe place, it helped create a boundary for you. Because now, just as you shared, it's no longer in the dark. It's out in the light. And because it's in the light, now you're able to actually walk in it, and you're able to walk in victory, so to speak. Because I believe the enemy, he wants to keep so much in darkness because he likes to play in darkness. But when the light comes on, all darkness has to flee. So I believe it all plays together when you're in marriage or in a relationship, to where you have to have that truth, that honesty, and even that transparency, so you can be your best in that relationship.
Yes. You know, another situation I think where the enemy can lead us in darkness is when it comes to our finances. When I've messed up, when I misspent, when I didn't do what we agreed to do, then I'll try to hide it so I can fix it. And I can remember, you know, honestly, situations where I did it, you know, and I thought, well, if I can just borrow it from my sister. Well, now I got to pay my sister back, so where do I get the money from to pay it back? And so you create a situation that's worse, wherein, and even if, most of the time it is because we're fearful of how our partner, but take your medicine, you know, so that, yes, I was wrong. We'll get over it, you know. And if at some point we need to change how we handle this, we are not going to give the enemy a foothold, you know. And so many times, the reason I asked about does humanness, should we allow it to become an excuse? How many times have we heard people say, well, God know my heart? That's when we're trying to justify that flesh. You know, he does know your heart. He said it was deceitfully wicked. Yes, he does know it, you know. And when we can allow ourselves to go before him and say, Father, because you know, I'm not going to assume that it's okay for me to say, well, I know I did it, but God knows my heart. You know, what I want to do is walk in freedom. You know, I want to be able to say to God, I did it, but it won't happen again. You know, if you will help me with this. And that's, again, we can't hide it from him anyway. We tend to act like God is surprised. We caught him off guard. those things that even have happened in our marriages that we thought we got away with it.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is when God decides to reveal it.
Yeah.
But even then it's for your growth.
Yes, it
Yes,
You
yes.
know, we see God as some mean daddy that just want to beat you to death,
No, he
you know,
doesn't.
send you straight to hell.
No, he
So
doesn't.
that in our marriages, when we look at how we could benefit from openness,
Yes.
honesty,
Honesty.
truth.
Yes, and we can see Jesus even displaying that. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was feeling some type of way, but yet he was honest. He walked in truth when he said, "Father, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me."
Yes.
And to me, it was just a sign to where some of us, we might be in a heated situation or feel some pressure or some pressing.
Right.
We have to be honest and truthful to where
Right.
we can let our spouse know what's really going on in our
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And although God didn't deliver him out of it by him opening up and just saying, "Hey, Father, if it's your will, let this cup pass from me," I believe that it allowed him to gain the strength to keep on going
Yes.
through the test.
Yes.
So I believe the same thing
Yes.
will happen in our relationships, because God sometimes he won't pull us from it. He'll allow us to go through it. But if
Yes.
we're honest and we're open and transparent, we'll have that strength to endure.
To endure it.
Yeah, so when we reveal our humanness, our human nature to our spouse, we're really just becoming real. Just saying,
Yes.
"Hey, this is where I am. I need your support in this." And just like when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he began to say, "God, if it's your will, let this cup pass from me." And just by him opening himself up to say that, when we open ourselves up to say what we need to say to our spouse, say, "Hey, I'm having a struggle in this area. I need your support on this." And now you got somebody backing you up.
Yeah.
Now you got somebody praying for you. So don't be bogged down with feeling some type of way because you have a human side.
Yes.
There are sometimes
Yes.
I wake up, I don't like him.
Yeah, yes.
You know,
right,
I
right.
just wake up
Yes.
and I'm just in my feelings. I don't like you today.
Right.
That's a human nature. You know, there are some things that go on
Yes.
in our bodies. Sometimes we don't feel like being messed with.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't want to talk. It's okay. Don't allow that to bog you down.
Yes.
It's all right. You're
Yes.
married, you saved, you're a human. You
Yes.
have those situations. You have those circumstances in life. Don't put up a facade as if you never go through anything, because
Yes.
woman of God, I know you do.
Yes.
All of us do. Trust and believe. We know
Yes.
there is
Yes.
no perfect marriage, but there is a marriage that is perfect for you.
Yeah.
So walk this thing out in victory. When you go through those tough times, just know it's just a season.
Yes.
It'll end
yes.
soon.
Yes. I think, too, if we will allow ourselves to realize that God already knew, you know, that when we come before him and say, you know, I'm having really a challenge in this area. There's a scripture that says it was good for me that I've been afflicted. I can remember I was going through a physical challenge. I had an aneurysm challenge. But besides, I remember reading that scripture and saying, God, I can't say this out loud because I don't see anything good about this. That it was good for me that I've been afflicted. I'm going through divorce. I'm going through sickness. I'm going through financial trouble. And you want me to say it was good for me that I've been afflicted. But on the other side of through, you know, when I look back, it was good for me. You know, God knew that I would survive it. You know, he knew that I had or would be equipped with everything I needed to make it through it. And so the testimony is to everybody else that I know it doesn't feel good, don't taste good, don't
Yes.
smell good, don't sound good, but the Lord said he was working it for our good. You know, so that human side of you that want to say the wrong thing, that want to act kind of unseemly, you know, just understand that this trial is working for your good. You know, and one day real soon, you're going to be able to say it was good for me that I was afflicted. You know, some things that when we look at the backside of our marriages and say, God, remember when I was silly?
Yes.
Remember when we were arguing over
About
chicken?
dumb stuff.
Dumb stuff. Yes.
Yes. And what happens is, I believe God sets it up to where we have to have some bad with the good, because at the end of it, you can enjoy the journey. I think looking back now, I can appreciate some of the struggles and the tests and the trials that my wife and we were able to endure because it developed some things in us. It allowed some stick-to-itiveness to come out of it. And I feel like now I love my wife now more than I did 21 years ago. 21 years ago, I thought I was head over heels for her. But now, you know, I can look back and say, hey, I can't even imagine doing life without her because I feel like our love has grown over the years. It has matured, and it is something that I just love that we have now together.
And see, the thing of it is that when we mature, you know, and we see who our mate really is, I'm glad that I had a man who I knew I'd never be hungry. You know, now I didn't know that when I married him. I thought I did. But when you walk through a period where you're out of work, and my husband would go in to take out the cushions in the car and find enough change to go get bologna. And so when you look through, and, you know, at the time it just seemed horrible. But if I had not been married to a man who would sling boxes, you know, to make sure we ate, I often tell my children, you can be mad as you want to. Your daddy bought every car that you tore up, you know, every prom dress that you wore, so that I know the man that he is. And that didn't happen overnight. You got to know each other through those rough times. You know now that he's not going to run out, you know. And so those are the benefits of sticking to it. You know, getting through those challenges, and that's all they are. They're challenges, you know. But you all have been in this journey 21 years. I got married in 1970. Next year will be 50 years of good, bad, and truly ugly, you know. But I can tell you stories, you know, that my baby's daddy, you know, some things that were really good about him. And even though the enemy would say, give it up, go find somebody else. But I don't know. I maybe found somebody else who wouldn't sling boxes, you know, so that when we look at the kinds of things that are going to really matter in the long run, you know, we can say to God that we are happy that we stuck to it. I think our time is about up. Give us the address of the church so that people can contact you.
Amen. It is the Forward Christian Center, 10696 Suite 14, Lim Turner Road, Jacksonville, Florida, 32208. You can also reach us on our website, forwardcc.org, or call our office, 904-374-0620.
Thank you so much. Again, we're going to do it again real soon.
Absolutely.
All
Thanks
of
for
the
having
information for Forward Christian Center is available also on Ask Mama E. Our Facebook page is Ask Mama E. All right. So everything that you need to know about us, we'll make sure that we put it on the screen. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again real soon.
So we've come to the end of another telecast. My hope and my prayer is that something was said today that will give you encouragement. I know you were thinking that nobody understood. Certainly, I don't even know you. And you're thinking, how did she know? Well, it's because I've experienced much of what you're going through. Won't you plan to join me every week at the same time as we work our way through some of those issues that have really been giving you trouble? Believe me, you're going to be okay. Just believe. You can I make a promise to you that it's going to be okay. Just ask Mama E.